Examine the roles of central bank in an economy. We put it down. Examine, that is B, examine the role of central bank in an economy. Examine the role of central bank in an economy. Particularly if you look at this question, one of the things that we must realize, or one of the things that we must understand, that this question particularly touches on a topic that is called money and banking. This topic touches on what we call money and banking. And number one, we need to understand that when you talk about central bank is basically what we call the government banks. Apart from central bank, we also have what we call commercial banks. Central bank has some unique features, or some unique features or some unique functions that are not as the same as a commercial bank. So when you ask the role, one of the unique roles that we know that does not appear, we know that issue currency, notes, and coin. That is the first role. We say issue, we call it issue, currency, what do you call currency? Currency, notes, and coins. Issue, what you call currency, notes, and coins. Issue, currency, notes, and coins. The second, we need to know that this is a government bank. So it's a government banker to the government, banker to the government. What you call the banker to the government. And what does the word banker to the government basically imply? It maintains all government accounts. One of it is basically maintain. We know that maintains all governments accounts. This basically maintain all government account. Maintain all government account. Deposits or deposits. We have deposits, comma, transfers, deposits, transfers, etc. So that is the second role of the central bank. We have the next, we call it lender. We call it lender of the last resort. Lender of the last resort as the next role of the central bank. Lender of the last resort. Commercial bank often with sudden need. Commercial banks, we can note that commercial are often with the sudden need, with the sudden, what do you call the sudden needs, are often with the sudden needs, If all resources fail, we say if all the resources, we basically say if all the resources failed, central bank would step to lend the commercial bank. The central bank would basically come in to lend the commercial banks. That's why we say it's a lender of the last resort. Number 4, we can talk about what we call central bank implement monetary policy. When you look at that in relation to other commercial banks, we look at commercial banks assisting the central bank in implementing monetary policy. But you say when you talk about commercial banks, they're basically assisting in implementation. But it's the central bank that implement monetary and physical policy. So we can say central bank implements, we can say implement what you call the monetary policies. And when you talk about monetary policies, this leads with the interest rate selling and buying of treasury bills and bonds, government reserves, then thereby regulating. We know that when they implement, thereby thereby regulating what we call money supply in the economy, thereby regulating money supply, what we call the money supply, thereby regulating money supply in the economy, thereby regulating money supply in the economy. So we can have the next, where we talk about is responsible. Central bank is responsible. We can say responsible for buying, what you call for buying and selling. The responsible for buying and selling. The responsible for buying and selling government securities. Government, what do you call the government? Government securities. Securities. Such as, what do you call such as the T-bills. T-bills. Such as the T-bills. Such as the T-bills. And T-bonds. And T-bonds. And T-bonds. They offer selling and buying of the government security, such as T-bills and T-bonds. But we can also talk about the create employment. Create what you call create employment. Because in the central bank, we know that a number of individuals are basically employed. But in summary, as we summarize what we have basically put on the board, it is very important for learners to understand that also another area that is examinable is the area of the commercial banks. What does the commercial banks do? We've looked at the roles of the central bank. What does basically the commercial banks role they play in an economy? And it's also a very good area that normally is being tested in almost all particular questions, all particular series or particular examination period. You have a question that relates on monetary and fiscal policy. How do we use monetary policy to control money supply in the economy? So if you look at all those that we have discussed, that will be a very, a very good way to look at that question. And that is how we particularly assess that question.